speaking of which, I want to show this video because there were some people that were swayed in one form or another by Kamala's speech, or rather the convention entirely. And I'm not gonna lie, the answer. So CNN wouldn't have showed it if you don't know, if they didn't get the results that they would have liked. But it was the answers that really kind of like threw me off. Because everybody kind of rated her from A to F, giving her speech. Some people explained their rationalities for why they gave the grades didn't make any sense, because some people were acknowledging, well, she didn't actually say anything, but I gave her a B. Like, it's bizarre, and it kind of lets you know, kid, where we're at. Gives you an idea of where we're at as a nation. Like, we're fucked, is what I'm saying. So let's go and check this out.
Quoting Misty.
Well, Anderson, we do come to you from Allentown in the heart of the beautiful Lehigh Valley in eastern Pennsylvania. And we are with eight residents of the
significance, by the way, I got to say before we continue, Pennsylvania is a significant state because right now, no one knows who's going to win, but Kamala needs Pennsylvania or she can't win. That's basically what the electoral analysts are saying. So this is why they decided to go to Allentown, Pennsylvania, and ask a crowd full of people from a city that hasn't been decided yet in Pennsylvania.
Who've been watching television with us tonight and watching Kamala Harris's speech. I do want to say they all have something in common, as you said, Anderson. None of these people before tonight have made a decision about who they will vote for in November. And at least one person here before tonight wasn't sure she was going to vote at all because she doesn't like either of the candidates. Also, what they have in common, 5 of these people, they are all 5 of them loyal union members from the UAW local, United Auto Workers, here in the Lehigh Valley. So thank you all for being here. First thing I want to ask you, I want you to grade the speech, okay? A is excellent, B above average, C average, D below average. We all know what F is. Let's start with you. How do you grade the speech?
I gave her a B+.
Oh my God.
B+.
A.
B+.
A.
A.
C.
C. So mostly A's and B's.
So as y'all can see, they gave a lot of high. Like B+ was relatively high for a speech, and I could be a tough grader because I'm a speechwriter. But
I'm gonna go with a C-, maybe a D+. So I'll give my reasons for that. But go ahead.
I'd give a C. I would give her a C- just for the speech. Like, but she wouldn't be getting no higher than a C, given what she was supposed to be trying to convey. So I'm gonna let them give their reasons because you're gonna probably be confused by the grading after you hear their reasoning.
Done deal.
With 1 C. I want to ask you why you made the decision you made. First of all, we start with Scott, who is the president of the UAW local here in the Lehigh Valley. Scott, what grade did you give it again? B+.
B+.
How come?
I gave her the high grade because I thought she looked very confident. I liked how she spoke from her heart. I liked her message of unity and the division that we have in America. I like her fight for the middle class and families. The reason I didn't give her an A was I thought she needed to go into a little more detail on some of her plans, of how she would, do some of the things that she envisioned.
Okay, Lindsay.
Okay. Do you find a problem with that?
I do.
He gave her almost an A. She was 1 point away from an A.
Well, the thing is, last I checked, in order to get an A or even a B, you need to complete at least majority of the assignment, research paper or document, whatever the hell you're doing. I mean, what has she delivered? What are her freaking policies? She has none. The DNC convention is over. I was told that by the end of the DNC convention, we're going to get some policies, or it's at the end of August.
Who told you that lie, kid? And why'd you believe him?
I don't know. I'm a sucker for abuse. Please don't look at my black eye. I got punched. They promised they never hit me again.
Because they was very clear about one thing by the end of this. You were not going to know more about Kamala by the end of the week as you did at the beginning of the week. I felt like that, and the message was, and you need to get the fuck over it. That is what I've been told.
Yeah.
But the fact that so to me, it was like the qualities that made him give her a B. Or B+, excuse me. Oh, she's confident. She's presidential. She's well-spoken.
That's what they're supposed to do. A politician is supposed to put on the lie.
Yeah, like bare minimum that, okay? So she's coherent? So you don't get a B plus for showing up to class and being coherent. That's just how you not fail. You might get you got a participation grade, basically. You don't get a B plus for that. But what was crazy to me is like, if we're talking about class and grades, in the grading system, you usually have a weighted scale. In other words, your exams are weighted more than your quizzes. Your final paper are going to be weighted more than your. So you would assume, given how much people are complaining about the economy and everything going wrong with the United States right now and really around the world, that policy would make up the largest percentage of the grade. But he just I didn't give her an A because she really didn't tell me anything about her policy. Hold up. And so you weren't necessarily happy about that, but you seem to be okay with it because you still gave her a B plus. That's what I'm confused about. Why are there so many people who are okay with this?
Because again, it's the effect of Trump derangement syndrome. I'm gonna bring it back to Trump. It's people.
These people, I gotta be clear, these people were still considering voting for both.
Okay.
So it isn't Trump derangement syndrome here.
Okay. Well, the reason why I am bringing it up though is because you have people who are unable to really remember or even see what a good candidate is. So because Kamala was perhaps maybe more articulate, it sounds clearer than Trump. That's her the perception. The lie is that she knows how to speak. That's it. She knows how to really play her role. A lot of these politicians are failed actors and actresses at this point, all right? And they perfected the one role that they can do, and that is be a douchebag politician.
And most of them haven't even perfected that role. Be honest
well,
with you.
Well, I mean, again, it's a matter of lights, camera, and a good PR crew. And Kamala has that because she has all Hollywood backing her up.
I will give. You know what? There's one thing I will have to give her credit for. Exactly what you said. Hillary Clinton's PR crew was trash.
Yeah.
Even Biden's PR crew was trash, but Biden was going up against Trump, and his PR crew didn't have to be that good when you can just steal, votes as good as Biden can. And he had so much power that it didn't matter how popular he really was. When it comes to Kamala, they have not only managed to control the narrative from outside, but they've managed to control her enough so that she doesn't talk unnecessarily, which they couldn't do for whatever reason when it came to Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. So their PR team is A1. They got the Breakfast Club out there covering the DNC National Convention, which is clearly like a pander to black people, but people probably don't even realize it's a pander to black people because they didn't really bring up that. They didn't bring up her blackness during the Breakfast Club interviews, which was smart. So so their PR team is actually A1. So I gotta give them credit for that. I want to go to the rest of these grades because y'all are gonna want to hear this shit. The logic doesn't really make any sense.
You're in sales. You're the person who wasn't sure she was going to vote for anybody because you don't like either of these two candidates. I'll ask you more about that in a minute. But first, what grade did you give the speech?
Okay.
I gave it a B.
How come?
I thought it was a good speech. I mean, she did what she was supposed to do. I liked that she talked about her upbringing, made it feel a little more like personal. But yeah, I thought it was a good speech.
Okay, Andy, you're also with the UAW. You make cars and trucks for us Americans, so thank you for that, along with the rest of you. Your grade again was?
B plus.
And how come B plus?
I liked her plan for the middle class. Like my wife's a nurse. I'm an auto worker. I'm as middle class as you get. I just felt like she should go a little more in depth, but I guess I understand you can't really go as in depth in these speeches. But
first of all, Kit, what plan did she introduce for the middle class? I watched the speech. Maybe I missed it.
I didn't see that. I guess, I mean, maybe a plan to stand with Israel and still fund the war in Ukraine. I mean, there's some plans, but I don't know how that's going to help out the middle class. I didn't hear her talk about policy. And in regards to talking about her upbringing and her mother, she didn't mention her father. Her dear old dad.
Not middle class.
Yeah,
she was not. Both of her parents. One of her father is actually still tenured at Stanford, actually, and her mother was also working at Berkeley. She was not middle class. I don't know. And in the community that she lived in Montreal, but damn sure isn't middle class. The caste system she came from in India is not middle class. Nope. I don't know why. No. She came from one of the highest castes in India. So
I'm looking at the live stream chat, and everyone is talking about, like, again, how she didn't give any kind of policy. She didn't give any
That's
kind of comment. Like what
he even
is
said she should have went in more depth. Well, then
yeah.
why did you just say you were happy with the policy she gave? What policy if she
I
can't
thi-
do?
I think the guy. I think the guy was just saying words just to say words, right? You know, just
He lied.
the
Do you think
BS.
he
Yeah.
actually watched the speech?
No, no,
I
no.
pulled a Jank. You know, Jank
Yeah.
be doing that shit. Jank will do a whole 30-minute commentary on a clip he didn't watch.
Well, Fat Tony was able to still make excuses for the Democratic Party. Even Anna looked pissed off. Did you see some of those videos?
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
again,
god.
and like, bro, y'all fucking my goddamn image up. It's hard. I can't keep doing this. Maybe 1 or 2 cycles, but now it's 2024. What, like, you can only keep your image. I'm just saying,
mark
and
my
also
words.
she's her options are limited because she ain't going to no CNN or MSNBC after. I guarantee you that because she's not actually that good at her job. So, I mean, she's not good enough liar. She's not a good enough liar, and she's not a good presenter. So it's not like she's like Fiorella.
Oh,
I'm just saying, keeping it a band. So,
oh
but
man.
he
Be nice, man. What's wrong with you? Be nice.
Yeah, right. I'm still waiting for her to debate me. Anyway, I mean, she hid for a week, which is crazy. Anyway, this is like, this is what I be talking about. Where it's like voters don't have standards anymore. I don't know. Is it because of how bad things have gotten? It's just like, man, at least she can form a complete sentence. But they talk about speaking from the heart. No, she didn't speak from the heart. That was literally a teleprompter.
Yeah, no.
Very obviously.
None of it has any relevancy whatsoever. I mean, I think whether or not voters have lowered their standards, I think at this point, voters are just burnt out. Voters are just accepting just the bare minimum because that's what we're getting now. Notice that our politicians are getting weaker and smaller and punier and
dumber.
and dumber too. And these are not the great lions. Now, maybe they've always been like this, okay? And because we have social media, we could see who these politicians are. And at this point, the American people being bombarded with all these images and photos and videos and sound bites that we're just burnt out and accepting the bare minimum. And Kamala did a good speech. Okay, well, the teleprompter did its job so that Kamala can look competent.
First of all, I don't think it was a good speech. It was coherent. Like, I actually genuinely, from I've written speeches, I've given speeches extemporaneously and through teleprompter. I don't really prefer teleprompter, but it was not a good speech. She didn't say anything new. She didn't say anything inspirational. She almost, when I get some time to check, I'm pretty sure I'm going to figure it out. I'm pretty sure she plagiarized some of it that was good. That's what makes it worse. So, like, it wasn't even a good speech. It was a decent speech that she read from a teleprompter. There was nothing inspiring about it. Let's go ahead and get back to the rest of this video. But yeah, maybe I'm a harsh judge. Maybe I don't like her, but it wasn't Obama. It was not Obama.
Well, a little bit more would have been like nice.
Okay, Donna is your mother.
Yes.
Donna's a
Also, he said, we don't have enough time to go in depth on policies during these speeches. That's a 38-minute goddamn speech. If you can't go into policy depth in 38 minutes, then you can't save the country in 4 years.
No,
Like,
and Kamala's policy is Biden's policy, and Biden's policy was the neoliberal Democrats' policy. So, and where they get that policy from their corporate donors. So
Exactly.
nothing will
Retired
fundamentally change.
Exactly.
dental hygienist. Donna, what grade did you give it again?
I gave her an A
And how come an A?
because she hit all the points that I wanted to know about. I wanted to know more about her economic policies.
That wasn't
her
there.
foreign policy. I know she couldn't go into depth about that.
Then how did you gave her an A for something you said she did, but then said she didn't do it?
Well, she
Give
did
her-
her foreign policy. She did her foreign policy. She's for the war in Ukraine and arming Israel still. So
Yeah,
at least we know that.
Undecided before she came in here, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I felt that she looked very presidential. She sounded presidential, and I think she's going to be a unifier.
Yeah, by the way, going into tonight, Andy was 60-40 with Kamala Harris.
Yes.
You were 50-50, which is interesting. We'll talk more about that in a second.
First of all, let me just also address this whole, they sounded and they looked presidential. It really speaks to the obsession Americans have with presentation. As long as something looks presidential, so as long as something looks official, they're going to fall for the scam because that they are more concerned about a show. Like a lot of people that might have great content on YouTube, right? They aren't as successful, not because the content isn't better, but because it doesn't look as official as a studio from like a TYT, for example. Like
Well,
it's not necessarily that way in other countries, by the way.
Right.
It's like if you do really good content, you do really good content, and they leave, and that is what it is. So, but that just really speaks to U.S. citizens' obsessions with aesthetic. It's weird and superficial.
It's I guess it's how we've been trained here in America. The more prettier something looks, or the more shinier it looks, the more official and good it has to be. But I mean, you could have a shiny box, but inside that box is a big old turd, and that's what the Democratic Party is. It's a sloppy turd that stinks, and yet it's always being repackaged into something brand new that voters will vote for and believe that is a good idea. So
If it breeze that hoe, they
yeah.
Patrick, also with the UAW, the grade you gave it again?
A B plus.
How come B plus?
Well, she was very confident in what she was saying. She showed leadership ability and understanding of the topics at hand. But again, she didn't go in depth. I did like what she said about what she's going to try to do for the middle class, about a tax break for us, which will be very nice, but still a little bit more information on some of the things that she's planning on doing.
Sean, also with the UAW, the grade you gave it again?
I gave her an A.
How come?
I was looking for policy information. I really wanted to see some substantive policy information. And I thought she did give enough. I like what she gave on military, what she wants to do for our veterans, and with border control. I just think that she has a lot of good ideas, and she's very well spoken. I think she was very professional.
Sabrina is your daughter and also a UAW member.
gave her an A, and I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, where did you do? And it's okay. Where there was a discussion about policy, which was basically just Ukraine and Israel, which her positions were horrible. That was the only discussion about policy. When they say, I like what she said about this, they can't even bring themselves to give an example of what she said. It's almost like they created like this falsehood, this fake picture in their mind, and they're just running with the story that they've already created. It's bizarre. It's what they call it, mass psychosis. Because it's like if you repeat something enough, then they think it makes it true. Like, oh yeah, I like her Paul, but it's weird because they contradict themselves. Kid, they said it man. I really like what you said about policy, even though I wish you would have said more about policy.
So I actually got to just give you some breaking news here. So something really important just happened to me. I got a text message. Kamala Harris here. See, you're not like me, Niko. I got that shine, Kamala Harris here. It is the honor of my lifetime to formally accept your nomination as a Democratic candidate for president of the United States. I'm running to be president for all Americans, but it's going to take all of us, and I mean all of us, doing our part to win in November. If you're with me, make a donation to our campaign. So there you go. Just right now, if you just got done
That's
speaking,
crazy.
I got that text message. Thank you, my CIA handlers.
Did she happen to text you a fucking link to her platform yet?
No, I haven't gotten that. I actually got her platform right in front of me right now, and let me go ahead and hit the
Is it a
refresh
white piece
button.
of paper? Just a blank sheet of paper.
It's a blank sheet of paper that says, "Please give me an A+ kit." No.
Hey man, Google Doc it to me so I can add to the platform that it doesn't exist, or I can just start a blank document. It'd be basically the same shit.
So
Make cars and trucks for America. Your grade again?
A.
How come an A?
I think she was very well spoken. She was very clear on what her policies were and elaborated on them with the time given, and the fact that she's wants to bring back rights for women.
And Brian, you're in real estate. You're a nice guy too, like everyone in this panel, and you gave the only C. How come you gave a C?
She wasn't clear enough on the policies.
Thank you.
She did speak a lot of her personal history, which was great, but I still don't feel like she's ready. I feel like more so she should wait. I don't want to per se
vote for someone that is a backup.
All right, well, but I'm going to ask you short.
No, the guy didn't like being interrupted.
That's a statement.
Yeah.
That's a statement. This is somebody who actually listened to the speech and has been actually taking the time to process what he's been like, what he's thinking and why he thinks it. Because he's like, I don't really want to vote for a backup, like, because nobody else in the room has brought that point up, right? Because this is a room full of people who were not decided at least before the Democratic National Convention, and he said what a lot of people have been feeling. This bitch is a backup, really a backup for a backup, but she's kind of a backup for her own backup. Because if she wasn't doing so horrible, Joe Biden probably would have never entered the race to begin with in 2020. So she's kind of been the backup for her own, and really the backup for her own backup, who was also a backup because he couldn't beat Obama because he sucks. So it's interesting to hear this guy's perspective, because he's like, yeah, I mean, she said some good stuff. Like, yeah, she went there and she didn't stumble over herself while giving a speech about her life from a teleprompter. But the reality is she doesn't seem prepared. She doesn't seem ready for the moment. And even objectively, even if I was a Democratic voter or even considering voting for the duopoly, she doesn't seem prepared. She doesn't seem ready for the moment. Just from an objective, like just bird's eye view, because every time she's asked about something, she gets flustered as if she's never dealt with it before, despite the fact that she's been president or vice president, for the last 3.5 years. So what you got to say?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, at least we have somebody up there that's at least being refreshing and actually bringing a real response to the debate, because the CNN hosts seem to get pissed. I'm like, well, let me ask you a follow-up. If some strange men knock on your door and say like, hey, come with us, we want to introduce you to Kamala, are you going to say yes? Because he's probably going to, because again, anyone that's going to deviate away from A or B, if you're going to give her a C or something, oh, then you're going to be vilified. Because how dare you say that Kamala didn't give you anything?
Oh, it gets better, though. It gets better.
Here we go.
So you're not ready to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm sure about that. But what I want to ask all of you all together at this point, like I said, none of you were ready to make a commitment to any candidate in November. Please raise your hand right now if you're now ready to make a commitment after today. Wow. I'm just kind of surprised about it. We haven't rehearsed this. I'm going to make that very clear. Maybe we'll test this. 7 of you are now ready. Scott?
Yes, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Andy?
Yeah, Kamala Harris, yes.
Yes,
Donna?
I'm voting for her also.
Sean? Sean?
Yes, Kamala.
Sabrina?
Kamala.
Patrick?
Kamala.
Brian?
Trump.
Trump?
Oh!
And finally, Lindsay.
Yeah. That's
Still probably not voting.
No, probably you
not
don't like
voting.
either of them.
Yes,
She doesn't fuck with either of
beautiful.
them. Yeah, I know, right? That's what I said. That
Beautiful.
one kind of threw me off because he had no idea who he was voting for. And this convention somehow thrusted him over into Trump country. And I'm actually not quite sure how he got there. I mean,
Well, it's understandable how Trump would be more appealing than Kamala, but even then, like they're both.
it's just
they're
wild.
both the same.
This convention made him switch. That's because that's what they were undecided before they came in to that they got asked before a week ago where they stood and they were 50-50. They hadn't made a decision. They were non-committal. And this guy, and it was like trying to figure out if they had changed their mind after that convention, and particularly after Kamala's speech. Whatever Kamala did in her speech literally pushed this man over to Trump.
Well, I was also. Okay, so what do we see at the convention? We saw celebrities and actors and actresses. We saw pundits. We saw politicians speak, but they said nothing. So it's understandable why somebody would maybe either choose not to vote or maybe vote for Trump, because you got nothing. It was all a show. It was all a hype show for Kamala. It was all for her to make her seem presentable, because in comparison, at least from the RNC to the DNC, you know, you had Trump, who was elected by his supporters. I mean, there was a democratic process in the Republican primary. For the DNC, not so much. And when you hear Kamala speak, and we're going to be hearing her speak for the next 2 months, or worse, maybe the next 4 years.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't, but we got to prepare ourselves. So for the next 2 months, we're going to hear Kamala speak. She's going to be obviously prepping up for the debate against Donald Trump. And who knows how that's going to turn out. But the more voters are going to hear from her, They're going to remember why she was such a terrible, piss poor candidate, a far in the win kind of candidate in 2020. I mean, she got decimated twice by Tulsi Gabbard on the debate stage. Her campaign went bankrupt. Nobody liked her. The more she spoke, the more people hated her. This is the same Kamala Harris, lowest approved vice president in U.S. history. When she sits on the throne, if she does, she will probably be the most lowest approved president in U.S. history. Biden's numbers were higher than hers in the past 3.5 years. What does that tell you about Kamala's leadership? Hemorrhaging staff. What is it like to work with Kamala? And Kamala's going to be front and center. She is going to be the commander in chief. I mean, there's a reason why the Biden and Kamala teams were separated, because maybe Kamala is just that unbearable.
That is true. People don't really talk about the fact that it seemed like their staff members didn't get along that well. I forgot about that. And it was like some of the Kamala staff was basically calling the Biden staff racist.
Yeah.
Like it was a whole, I mean, but we always knew it was kind of there's always been, at least for the last maybe 8 years, an internal war between the new guard and the old guard. That's been a thing. Part of the reason why in my opinion, there had to be a coup to get Joe Biden out was because the new guard had already made the decision that they didn't want Biden. They made that decision 4 years ago, but they were stuck with them because at the end of the day, they couldn't let Bernie Sanders win. So, because God forbid you even have an inkling of hope, even though he's, spineless, but an inkling of hope or a spark of hope could light the whole forest on fire. So they were like, yeah, we can't have that. So they settled. But right now, they're like, it's our turn. It's basically how a lot of the new guard sees themselves.
Yeah.
And so there had to be a coup, basically. And Biden and his crew didn't want to accept it, but it is what it is. Where it's it's happened at this point. But I really am curious to know as to how you can hear that speech or really watch this convention, and then you go from non-committal to I'm going to support her. That's what I'm confused about. I think because there were a lot of them they flipped the switch over for Kamala. They switched. I don't get it.
Well,